Investiture of the Gods, Chapter 2.
We find King Zhu apparently in a good mood, and he issues this really startling demand. He wants to gather 100 good family women, that's from each of the 4 regions, east, south, west, north, for his palace. And the criteria he laid out were quite specific, things like dignified appearance, gentle temperament, graceful conduct, and elegant demeanor. And it didn't matter about their family's wealth or status, but before this order could really even get going, a strong voice speaks up, a challenge. It's Minister Shang, the loyal prime minister. He steps right up.
Yeah, and Shang's challenge was, well, it was profound. It wasn't just about the king wanting more women, right? He starts by pointing out the obvious, like the king already has thousands of beauties in his palace. His main warning was that this big selection process would lose public support, which is critical for any ruler. He even quotes this old saying, "He who finds joy in the people's joy, the people will also find joy in his joy. He who worries about the people's worries, the people will also worry about his worries." So it's not just a moral thing, it's practical politics, civility.
Hitting him where it should hurt.
Exactly. And then Shang grounds it in the reality of the kingdom at the time. He mentions frequent droughts and floods, basically saying how irresponsible it is to chase pleasure when people are suffering. He draws this really stark contrast between King Zhu's path, indulging in eye candy, sensual music, drinking, and hunting. Shang calls these signs of decline and demise and contrasts it with virtuous rulers like the ancient emperors Yao and Shun.
The Golden Age example.
Precisely. Under Yao and Shun, the kingdom supposedly flourished. There were auspicious stars shining, sweet dew falling, phoenixes stopping in the courtyard, even Ganoderma growing in the wild. People were prosperous, travelers were courteous, dogs did not bark. It rained at night and was clear by day. Rice grew double ears. It sounds poetic, but it paints this picture of total harmony, cosmic and social, like nature itself approved.
Wow. So that's the ideal he's holding up.
That's the ideal. So Shang advice is crystal clear. Focus on governing. Promote the good officials, get rid of the bad ones, practice benevolence, cultivate morality, and also deal with the ongoing conflict in Beihai, the North Sea, actual state business.
And what's really surprising here, initially at least, the source says King Zhu actually listened. He says, "Your words are excellent. I shall immediately withdraw the order." That seems positive. But knowing what comes later, how genuine do you think that was? Was it just maybe a temporary move?
Well, it's a fascinating moment, isn't it? Really telling. It shows a king who maybe for a moment could still listen to reason. He wasn't completely lost yet. But the fact he needed reminding of these basic principles and how quickly this win for principle gets overturned later, it really shows the tension, between a leader's whims and the long-term health of the state. So the initial acceptance, yeah, it's positive, but it hints at maybe a fragility in his character.
Okay, so let's jump forward. 8 years later, another critical moment arrives.
Yeah.
The 4 Grand Dukes. We've got Jiang Hanku from the east, Yi Chongyu from the south, Ji Tang from the west, and Chang Huhu from the north. They arrive at the capital, Chaosh, along with 800 other lords. This is for their triennial audience with the king. And this wasn't just showing up. It was a big deal, a cornerstone of how the empire worked, right? Assessing loyalty, getting tribute.
Exactly. And these 4 Grand Dukes, they were the top regional guys. Their presence was crucial. But this big gathering immediately highlights something important. Who isn't there? Grand Tutor Wenzong. He's away from the capital. And he was this powerful, really righteous figure, a moral compass for the court, you could say. His absence, well, it shows a key vulnerability. Just one principled person missing can create this vacuum
That the wrong people rush into.
Precisely. Corrupting forces exploit that kind of gap. It's not just who's there, it's who's not there sometimes.
And stepping right into that void are the new power brokers, Fei Zong and Yu Han. Corrupt officials. The text says they controlled the court, abused power, and acted arrogantly.
Yeah.
And they immediately start demanding bribes from all the visiting lords, basically running a protection racket at court. It got so bad the cynical saying started going around. Before going to court the emperor, one first visits the ministers. Imagine that. Sucking up to them was seen as more important than seeing the king.
Yeah, it paints a pretty bleak picture. And what's really interesting here is the character Suhu, the Marquis of Jizu. He's described as having a fiery temper, rigid, upright, and just. Crucially, he just refused to play the game. No bribes, no flattery. He enforced the law strictly, no favors for anyone. Now, that kind of integrity, while you have to admire it,
It makes powerful enemies in a rotten system.
exactly, he stands out.
So you have this direct clash coming. Suhu is the only lord who doesn't give gifts to Fei Zong and Yu Han. That kind of open defiance, I mean, they must have been furious. It leads straight to anger, a grudge.
Absolutely. It wasn't just about money or respect. It was a challenge to their whole setup. And this immediately sets the stage for them to target Suhu. His refusal to bend, plus Wenzong being away, it made him the perfect target for these guys. It just shows how easily good people can get isolated when corruption gets a foothold.
Okay, so the New Year's court assembly starts. And again, it's Shang advising the king. He suggests only summoning the 4 Grand Dukes for the main audience to talk about local governance and stuff. Other lords can just pay respects outside, and King Zhu agrees again. But, and this is where it gets really interesting, right after that public court session, King Zhu privately calls in Feizong and Yu Hun. And guess what he brings up?
Let me guess. His old desire for more beauties.
Bingo. The idea just wouldn't die.
And this is where Feizong shows his cunning. He advises against bringing back the general selection of women. Supposedly, this is to protect the king's credibility, right? Since he already agreed with Shang earlier.
Makes him look consistent.
Yeah, seems reasonable on the surface. But then he suggests a more targeted approach. He claims he's heard that Suhu of Jizu, our upright Marquis, happens to have a daughter. A daughter of, quote, stunning beauty, heavenly disposition, quiet and virtuous.
Ah, I see where this is going. And King Zhu is immediately hooked. Extremely pleased, the text says. He instantly summons Suhu to the palace. Just like that, his earlier agreement with Shang is out the window because his personal desires are tweaked.
It's a perfect trap, isn't it? Feizong's advice looks like a compromise. It avoids openly contradicting the good advice the king accepted, but it plays directly into King Zhu's weakness.
While also getting revenge on Suhu. Yeah. Nasty.
Exactly. It's a masterclass in corrupt maneuvering, blending seemingly sensible advice with pure malice and self-interest.
So Suhu arrives at the palace. King Goto gets straight to the point. He wants Suhu's daughter for the palace, and he dresses it up as this amazing opportunity for Suhu. Promises him honor, status as a royal relative, keeping Jizu forever, peace, fame, the works. He even asks him, like, who doesn't want their daughter to elevate their family status? A queen status rivals the emperor's. You'd be distinguished.
Trying to appeal to ambition. But Suhu isn't buying it. Not one bit, he replied sternly. First, pointing out, just like Shang did, that the king already has thousands of beauties. Then he directly accuses the king of listening to flattering words of fawning advisors, sycophants, saying this would trap his majesty in injustice. He even humbly, probably strategically describes his own daughter as like a humble willow, plain and crude, lacking grace, basically not palace material.
Trying to deflect.
Right. And then he urges the king again, focus on state matters, and adds, quickly execute those who brought slanderous words, the villains who suggested this, saying that will show the world King Zhu is not a king who loves beauty.
Wow, that's direct, telling the king to execute his advisors. And King Zhu's reaction?
He just laughs, dismisses Suhu's words as not understanding the bigger picture.
That's chilling, the total disconnect.
It really is, and this is where the tension just skyrockets. Suhu is completely undeterred. He spoke sternly again. This time, he delivers this profound, direct warning. He says, a ruler who cultivates virtue and diligence will win the people's obedience and the loyalty of all lands, ensuring eternal heavenly blessings. Basic good governance 101. Then he brings up history, reminds the king the previous dynasty, the Mijia, lost its rule precisely because of debauchery and alcoholism.
Ouch. Drawing a direct parallel.
A very direct parallel. He contrasts that with his own ancestors, the Shang founders who overthrew the Xia, highlights their virtue. They did not pursue sensual pleasures or amass wealth. They were virtuous, benevolent, and kind. And then comes the real hammer blow, the prophecy.
Okay.
Suhu declares, moreover, if a ruler loves beauty, the state kingdom will surely be overturned. If a high official loves beauty, their ancestral temples will surely be destroyed. If a commoner loves beauty, they will surely harm themselves. It's like a universal law, he's stating.
Applies to everyone.
Yes. And then he points right at King Zhu and says, I fear the 600-year foundation of the Shang dynasty will be ruined by your majesty.
Wow. I mean, saying that to the king's face.
Yeah.
Predicting the dynasty's fall because of him. It just raises this huge question for us, doesn't it? What kind of conviction, what kind of courage does it take to do that? To stand up to absolute power, speak truth like that, knowing it could mean ruin, while the king just laughs.
It's immense courage, and it's rooted in deep principle, isn't it? Suhu's arguments aren't just personal objections, leave my daughter alone. They're strategically deep. He's connecting the king's personal failings directly to the fate of the entire dynasty. This isn't just a slight against him, it's a fundamental clash. Two opposing ideas about how to rule. Suhu understands that the king's character is the kingdom's destiny in a way. And that's a lesson King Zu seems tragically unable or maybe just unwilling to grasp. And King Zu, well, he wasn't known for taking things lightly. How did he react to such blatant disrespect?
Oh, he absolutely exploded, just flew into a rage. He immediately ordered Suhu to be taken to the legal department for execution.
Execution, just like that.
Swift, severe. He saw it as, unforgivable insolence.
Okay, so things look incredibly bleak for Suhu. But then these two court officials, Fei Zong and Yu Han, they step in.
Right. Two very influential figures. And they offer some, let's say, strategic advice to the king.
Strategic advice? How did they try to de-escalate this?
Well, it was basically a master class in ancient spin doctoring, really. They argued, quite cleverly, that executing Suhu would make the king look bad.
How so?
They said it would make him seem light on talent and heavy on lust. Prioritizing getting the daughter, overvaluing a capable official. And it would block avenues for speech, stop others from offering honest advice in the future.
Ah, okay. So it's about the king's image, his reputation.
Exactly. And their solution was, frankly, genius. They suggested pardoning Suhu.
Pardon him after that insult.
Yeah. They reasoned he'd then feel the emperor's grace, for not being killed, and would naturally send his daughter anyway, out of gratitude, supposedly.
Huh. So the king gets the daughter and looks good.
Precisely. He'd seem generous and broad-minded, someone who accepts criticism and protects meritorious officials. They literally called it killing two birds with one stone. A brilliant PR move.
That is clever. So did King Zu buy it? Did this advice sway him?
It seems it did. The text says his heavenly countenance cleared a little. He accepted their counsel, pardoned Suhu, and just ordered him to go back to Jizu immediately.
Okay, so Suhu gets pardoned, but does he feel grateful? You mentioned he left the capital swift as a beacon fire.
Far from grateful. He was absolutely furious when he got back to his temporary quarters. Utterly enraged.
And who did he blame? Not the king this time.
Oh, he definitely blamed the king, too, calling him an unprincipled and muddled ruler. But he specifically pointed the finger at Fei Zong and Yu Han.
Ah, the advisors again? Why them?
He accused them of bewildering the king's heart with wine and lust, basically, manipulating the king. And he thought they were plotting to monopolize court power.
So Suhu saw right through their plan.
He did. And more than that, he actually foresaw the king's downfall. He predicted the coming debauchery and misuse of power that would ruin the Shang dynasty. He felt completely trapped.
Trapped?
Well, either send his daughter, which meant deep personal shame and validating this corrupt court, or refuse, which now, after the pardon, meant certain war, a punitive expedition against his state.
It's quite striking how clearly he seemed to predict what was coming with King Zu. Does this happen often, where these attempts at, political cleverness totally backfire because they misjudge someone's honor?
I think it happens all the time,
Yeah.
historically and even today. You can try to manage perceptions, but you can't control someone's core beliefs or their sense of integrity. Fei Zong and Yu Han's plan was clever politics, but it completely ignored Suhu's character.
Right. They thought he'd react out of fear or calculated self-interest, maybe?
Probably. But Suhu felt his honor, and his duty to his people in Jizu was fundamentally violated. He saw the bigger picture of the king's corruption.
So what happened next was, as you said, dramatic. His own generals gave him some radical advice.
They did. They drew on this old principle. If the ruler is not righteous, the minister throws in with a foreign country.
Basically saying, he's broken the contract, you don't owe him loyalty anymore.
Exactly. They urged him to rebel, protect his own state, his clan, his family. It was a direct call to arms.
And Suhu, in this moment of, pure rage, he takes their advice and does something just unthinkable.
Utterly unthinkable. In a raging anger, the text says, without even stopping to think it through further, he marches over to the Noon Gate, one of the main gates of the capital, super visible, and writes this poem.
The famous anti-poem. What did it say again?
It was 16 characters. Kojinko, which translates roughly to, the ruler ruins the minister's principles, violating the 5 constants. Suhu of Jizu will never again serve Shang.
Okay, violating the 5 constants. That sounds serious. What exactly were those?
Oh, they were the absolute bedrock of Confucian morality even then. Ren, Yi, Li, Zi, Xin. Benevolence, righteousness, propriety, wisdom, fidelity. The core virtues.
So by saying the king violated those.
He wasn't just saying, I quit. He was publicly declaring King Zhu morally bankrupt, unfit to rule according to the highest ethical standards of their society, right there on the palace gates.
Wow. That's not just rebellion, that's a moral crusade declared in graffiti.
Pretty much. An unprecedented public smackdown, right in the heart of power.
So back at court, someone obviously finds this poem on the noon gate. How did King Zhu react this time? No more clever advice is going to smooth this over, surely.
No, absolutely not. King Zhu was, as you'd expect, beyond outraged, livid. He called Suhu a rat thief.
A rat thief?
Yeah, just pure contempt. He declared the act a great insult to the court, an unforgivable crime. There was no coming back from this.
And his immediate plan?
Immediate plan was war. Personal war. He decided to lead a personal campaign with his 6 armies, the main imperial forces. He ordered his top generals, guys like Yin Pao Zai, Chao Tian, and Lu Xiang, to gather 200,000 troops and basically wipe Jizhu off the map.
200,000 troops. Just like that. That volatility you mentioned earlier, from supposed generosity back to total war.
Exactly. Absolute power, when personally insulted, tends to react absolutely, doesn't it? But interestingly, not everyone at court was thrilled with the king leading the charge himself.
Oh, who pushed back?
General Lu Xiang, one of the commanders initially tapped for the campaign. He actually knew Suhu, respected him as a loyal and good man.
So he tried to slow things down.
He did, but subtly. He questioned if it was really necessary for the king himself to lead such a huge campaign over this. He suggested maybe sending one of the 4 Grand Marquises instead, since they were still in the capital.
A more proportional response, maybe? And did anyone jump on that idea?
Faizong did, almost immediately. Always looking for an angle, right?
Here's. Who did he suggest?
He quickly proposed Chang Haohu, the northern Marquis. Made sense geographically, since Jizhu was technically in his northern jurisdiction.
Okay, but Lu Xiang, the general who suggested sending a Marquis in the first place, he had issues with that choice.
She did. Strong reservations. He described Chang Haohu as a greedy, brutal, and violent man.
Not exactly the guy you want leading an army if you care about civilians.
Precisely Lu Qiang's point. He worried Chang Haohu would inflict terrible suffering on the people of Jizhu, the Yushu, the common folk. He was concerned about civilian casualties.
So who did Lu Qiang want instead?
He strongly recommended Ji Chang, the Western Marquis, famous for his virtue.
Ji Chang. Why him specifically?
Because Ji Chang was known everywhere for his benevolence and virtue, his integrity was famous. Lu Xiang believed Ji Chang could actually resolve the whole thing, maybe even capture Suhu without bloodshed, peacefully.
Wow. Okay, so you have this stark contrast right there in the King's Council. One guy proposed by Faizong, known for brutality, the other proposed by Lu Xiang, known for benevolence.
It really lays bare the different philosophies, doesn't it? Lu Xiang is thinking about stability, mercy, the people's welfare. Faizong seems focused on swift punishment, upholding authority through force, maybe currying favor.
And Ji Chang represents this ideal of, like, virtuous leadership resolving conflict, while Chang Haohu is more about crushing dissent.
Exactly. It's that fundamental tension. Compassion versus coercion. How do you maintain order? How do you deal with rebellion?
So the king hears both these proposals. Chang Haohu, the potentially brutal guy, and Ji Chang, the virtuous one. What does he decide? It must have been a tough call.
The text says he thought for a long time. It seems he weighed it up. And in the end, he actually decided to send both of them.
Both? How does that work?
He granted both Chang Haohu and Ji Chang the Dio, Jidue, that's the symbolic authority, often represented by like a ceremonial axe and banner, giving them the full power to lead military campaigns in his name, to go punish Suhu.
Okay, so a joint command, in theory. An imperial edict follows, right, making it official. What were the formal charges against Suhu in that document?
The edict laid it out pretty clearly. It accused Suhu of wild and disrespectful behavior, of offending the king in the palace.
Wait, offending the king in the palace? But didn't you say the initial confrontation happened before he got into the palace proper?
Exactly, and Ji Chang noticed that discrepancy immediately.
Ah, okay. What else was in the edict?
It also accused him of basically losing all discipline and sense of order, and Angsen Kang deliberately plotting rebellion, obviously citing the poem on the Noon Gate as proof. Those are the official reasons for war.
So Ji Chang gets this edict, hears these charges. What's his reaction? Does he just accept it?
No, not at all. He immediately questioned that specific charge, offending the king in the palace. He pointed out, just as you did, that Suhu hadn't actually entered the palace or met the king before the initial outburst that got him pardoned.
So he suspected something was off.
Definitely. He suspected that Big Jiaowei, there must be some fraud or deception involved here. He was worried that the other regional lords, the other marquises, wouldn't buy such a flawed reason for war. It lacked legitimacy. He actually asked the prime ministers to investigate the details properly first.
That's pretty remarkable. Questioning an imperial edict based on, well, facts and a sense of justice, he really lives up to his reputation.
He really does. He embodies that ideal of a principled minister, someone who thinks critically and prioritizes truth, even when it means questioning the highest authority.
But Hu, the other commander, he probably didn't see it that way.
Not even slightly. He had a much more rigid, authoritarian perspective.
What was his argument?
He quoted this saying, "Eight duru kashi wang yan rusi kichulun." It basically means the king's words start like silk threads, but once they're issued, they're like strong cords. Essentially, once the edict is out, you obey. Period. No questions asked.
All right, so the poem was enough proof for him. Forget the details.
Absolutely. He insisted the poem was undeniable evidence of rebellion, and he warned Ji Chang that questioning the king's command would just cause chaos. He worried about the other Makani, the 800 Marquis, getting ideas about disrespecting royal authority if they saw Ji Chang hesitating.
Wow, so a direct clash. Absolute obedience versus, like, righteous questioning. Right there between the two commanders.
A fundamental clash of principles. How did Ji Chang respond to that? Did he back down?
Not really. He doubled down on Suhu's character. He insisted Suhu was known to be a Junglianggunit, a loyal and good gentleman, someone who was sincere and loyal to the nation at heart.
So he's saying this charge doesn't fit the man we know.
Exactly. And he went further, arguing that launching a war against a Shanale, a good person, someone fundamentally decent, was actually Feiguyez Lisingruhi. It was inauspicious, bad luck for the nation.
He's bringing in morality and even, like, cosmic consequences.
He really is. He advocated strongly for peace. He laid out the negative consequences of war. Bingni Shishong Xiang, war is a grim omen, he said. It's Lamin Shankai, burdens the people and wastes resources. It leads to Yongbumdue, exhausting your military power recklessly. And going to war, Shi Tuming. Without a just cause, all of this, he argued, was Fai Shengshi Sung Yezi. It's just not something a prosperous and well-run era should be doing.
That's a powerful argument against reckless war. It really resonates, doesn't it? This whole conversation perfectly sums up that tension. Blind obedience versus the ethical duties of leadership. Ji Chang's warning against VOA, uncritical compliance versus principled resistance. It's timeless.
It really is. So despite these deep philosophical differences, they still had a job to do. What was the actual plan for them leaving? Did they go together?
No, they agreed on a practical plan. Chonghu, being eager, would lead his forces out first. Ji Chang would head back to his own territory. Shigi gather his army and then follow.
So Chonghu's gets a head start.
Right, and he left the very next day, ready to bring the hammer down on Jizu. Suhu, a feudal lord, coming back to his own territory, Jizu. So he must have known what was coming next.
Oh, absolutely. He immediately anticipated retribution. He predicted the king would send other lords to punish him. So, his first order back in Jizu: train the troops, fortify the city, get the rolling logs and stones ready for defense.
You can really see how that deeply personal slight just spiraled, escalating into a full-blown military standoff.
It's a powerful example.
And the king's response. It was pretty much what Suhu expected, right? Swift and decisive.
Very swift. He dispatched the northern grandee, Chonghu, and not just with a small force, a formidable army, 50,000 troops heading straight for Jizu.
50,000, that's intimidating.
And the description of Chonghu's army in the source material, it's incredibly vivid. It paints this picture of just overwhelming force meant to intimidate.
How so?
Well, it mentions thunders, cannons, earth-shaking gongs, banners and flags everywhere, weapons shining. There's this palpable killing aura described, even red clouds. It really signals immense destructive power on the move.
Wow. And they didn't just, like, show up and attack. The sources mention organization.
Right. They didn't just rush in. They set up a highly organized camp. And the details tell us a lot about their military thinking.
What kind of details?
It specifies the layout. steel spears east, flowery axes south, goose quill knives west, hard handle crossbows north. Very precise.
Okay.
And beyond just weapon placement, the camp layout used sophisticated military formations. It references concepts like guchen, 9 palaces, 8 trigrams.
Now, those sound complex. We probably don't need the full details, but what does their presence tell us?
It tells us this wasn't just a mob, it was a highly disciplined, strategically aware force. It showcases advanced military thinking for the time, capable of complex organization and presumably maneuvers. They knew what they were doing.
Okay, so this highly organized, massive army arrives.
Yeah.
How does Suhu react when he gets the report?
His anger just flares up again. He immediately declares Changhuhu unscrupulous. He dismisses any chance of a peaceful resolution right away.
So no negotiation.
None. He decides he needs to crush Changhuhu's army, explicitly to boost military prestige and, interestingly, eliminate harm for the common people.
That framing, again, not just self-defense, but a moral act. Why the specific focus on Changhu being unscrupulous? Was he known for that?
It seems so. The source highlights Changhu's reputation for unscrupulous conduct. So Suhu likely saw this as an opportunity, not just to defend himself, but to take down someone he saw as a villain.
Right, which could bolster his own legitimacy, maybe rally his troops by framing it as a righteous fight.
Exactly. It makes the fight about more than just Suhu's personal grievance.
So Suhu rides out, forms up his army, and boldly challenges Changhu face-to-face at the camp gate.
Yep. And Changhu appears, looking imposing in his phoenix wing helmet, gold armor, and a red robe. Even then, Suhu manages a sort of partial bow from horseback, but his words are sharp.
What does he accuse the king of, specifically? What's his justification for this rebellion, stated right there?
Oh, he lays it out very clearly. He calls the king unvirtuous, says he values beauty over capable officials, ignores the foundation of the nation, listens to treacherous flatterers, and is licentious with wine and women.
Pulling no punches.
Not at all. He predicts all this will lead to imminent chaos. And then he turns to Changhuhu and directly asks him, why are you launching this unjustified war? It's a full public indictment of the king's rule.
And Changhuhu's reaction, predictably, not pleased.
Pure fury. He just labels Suhu a rebel minister, says he deserves death for that poem at the gate, and demands immediate surrender.
So talks break down immediately. Insults fly. Combat seems inevitable.
It escalates instantly. Changhuhu calls for someone to capture Suhu,
Yeah.
and a general named Meiwu steps forward.
Ah, the first challenger.
Right. Fully armored, he starts taunting Suhu's son, Su Kwansong, even predicting the extinction of their clan. Very personal, very provocative.
Setting the stage for a duel, how does that go?
It's dramatic. Su Kwansong takes the challenge. He has a halberd. Meiwu has an axe. They fight, the text says, 20 intense rounds.
And the outcome?
Su Kwansong wins. He spears Meiwu, kills him right there.
Wow. A quick, decisive victory for Suhu's side in the very first clash. That must have been huge for morale.
Oh, absolutely massive. A huge boost. And Suhu, seeing this, immediately capitalizes. He orders a full assault.
Smart move. Press the advantage.
Exactly. His generals, Zhao Bing and Chen Jizhen, lead the charge. And the description of the ensuing battle is, well, pretty gruesome.
Yeah.
It mentions sorrowful clouds, corpses everywhere, blood-forming rivers. It really paints a picture of the brutal chaos of ancient warfare.
And the result of this charge?
Changhuhu's forces are completely routed. They retreat 10 li.
10 li, how far is that, roughly?
It's about 3 miles, give or take. That's a significant retreat. It indicates a serious rout, a major tactical win for Suhu.
Okay, so a decisive victory in the first big engagement. Suhu must be feeling pretty good back in his headquarters.
Well, yes and no. He's won the battle, but the source says he immediately expresses concern. He knows this isn't the end.
Right, because Changhu might just regroup. Or worse.
Exactly. He anticipates Changhu will either reorganize for revenge or, more likely, call for reinforcements from the capital. That leaves Jizu, his territory, in a really precarious position.
It really highlights that, doesn't it? A single battlefield victory, even a big one, doesn't necessarily mean you've won the war.
Not at all. And this raises that crucial question, when is a victory actually a victory? When is it just buying time? Suhu clearly recognizes the bigger strategic threat, even after winning.
And it's his Deputy General Zhao Bing who really spells out the danger, right?
Yes, Zhao Bing articulates the vulnerability very sharply. He points out that Suhu's actions writing the poem, killing imperial soldiers, these are, in the court's eyes, unpardonable crimes.
They're going back now.
Pretty much. And he warns that Jizu is just a bullet-sized piece of land. If the court sends more armies, more reinforcements, he likens it to throwing a stone into water. Jizu would just be submerged, overwhelmed.
That's a stark assessment, a clear-eyed view of their strategic weakness despite the tactical win.
Definitely. It shows they weren't just celebrating the victory, they were already thinking about the next, much bigger threat.
So, faced with this vulnerability, what's the plan? Zhao Bing proposes something pretty audacious, doesn't he?
Incredibly bold.
Yeah.
And risky. His philosophy is basically do it completely or not at all. No half measures.
Okay, so what does completely mean here?
He suggests a surprise night raid. Hit Hu's camp, the one that just retreated 10 league away, likely disorganized and unprepared after the defeat.
A counterattack, basically. At night.
Yes, but with extreme stealth, he specifies. Mouths gagged for the soldiers, horse reins removed, anything to prevent noise. Absolute silence.
And the goal isn't just to harass them.
No, the goal is total annihilation. He wants to leave not a single piece of armor remaining. Eliminate the entire force that's currently threatening them. It's brutal, but strategically decisive, at least in the short term.
Wow, that's ruthless. And is that the whole plan, just wipe them out?
It's the immediate plan. But Zhao Bing has a follow-up suggestion. After this decisive annihilating blow, he says they should seek an alliance, find a virtuous feudal lord to side with for long-term survival and security.
Ah, I see. So it's a two-pronged strategy. Immediate, brutal military action to remove the current threat, followed by a political move for long-term safety.
Fascinating.
It really is. It shows a sophisticated level of thinking, tactical and strategic.
And how does Suhu react to this incredibly risky proposal?
The text says he is delighted. He agrees immediately, stating, "It's exactly what I intended."
So they were on the same wavelength, that ruthless capulation was shared. It seems so. It suggests they both understood just how desperate their situation was, despite the recent victory. Suhu then gives specific orders for the raid. His son, Su Quanzong, leads 3,000 men for an ambush at a place called Wugang Town. Other generals command the flanks. They'll move at dusk, wait for a cannon signal.
It's a plan born of calculated desperation, but also maybe strategic brilliance, recognizing that a partial victory is basically useless against an empire.
That seems to be the logic. Go big or go home, essentially.
Shang, he's kind of at his low point here, isn't he?
Oh, definitely.
The text calls him basically arrogant and presumptuous.
Yeah, acting recklessly because of his perceived talent.
Right, and apparently he'd never actually lost before this moment.
Imagine that. First major defeat.
So now he's just lost General Mei Wu, 3,000 cavalry, and the text describes him as just full of deep shame, collecting his broken army, setting up camp, just brooding, utterly dejected.
He really is at rock bottom, and you get that universal truth from General Huang Yuanji, who tries to comfort him, right? He says, victory and defeat are common in war. Exactly. It sounds simple, but it really underlines the huge psychological weight on leaders, especially someone who's always won before. It's not just losing men, it's his whole worldview, his invincibility shattering.
That psychological angle is so clear. And, okay, while Zhang is, lost in his shame, Suhu is already planning his next move. What's he doing?
He's setting up a masterstroke, a night ambush.
Ah, the classic night raid.
Yep. The text says he is Xie. So he's secretly moving his troops out of the city, just waiting for the right moment to hit the camp.
And the timing is precise. First watch of the night. They've already covered 10 li. They're close.
Ready to spring the trap.
Then comes the signal. Just imagine this. A single cannon fire. One signal. Cannon fires. A huge boom, like the sky's falling and the earth is cracking open.
Instantly shattering the peace. Total shock value.
And the text just paints this picture of chaos, doesn't it? The tactical effect.
Oh, absolutely. It asks, rhetorically, when the army hits them in the pitch dark, gates smashed down, how can they possibly stand?
No chance.
And then it describes the human reaction. People hear the war drums, all they know is panic, run.
And the horses.
Neither two good gruns. People hear the war drums, all they know is panic, run.
And the horses.
The description of the soldiers is brutal. Brutal. Deeply sleeping soldiers just scrambling east and west.
No order.
No. Generals still half asleep. How can they even get their helmets on? It's that level of unpreparedness.
Total disarray.
And the fighting itself. Swords and spears just stabbing wildly. Who knows who's hitting who?
Friendly fire must have been rampant.
It explicitly says, Bernu, soldiers run into each other. How can they tell friend from foe in the dark and panic?
It's terrifying. And then, copy people crashing into people, trampling each other, horses crashing into horses, bodies everywhere. It's just like self-destruction triggered by that surprise.
It's such a powerful illustration. You see, Chenghuhu's forces were probably larger, right? But Suhu used surprise, the darkness, the psychology of it.
Completely negated any numbers advantage.
Exactly. It wasn't just a defeat, it was a collapse. A total breakdown of order and morale, testament to the power of surprise.
So the camp is in chaos. Chenghu's army is falling apart. What's Suhu's main goal now?
He goes straight for the head. He's hunting Chenghu himself.
And the description of Suhu in the battle. He sounds terrifying.
Yeah, really formidable.
Yeah,
Golden helmet, golden armor, big red robe, jade belt, riding a green horse, wielding a fire dragon spear.
Quite the image cutting through the darkness and chaos.
A beacon of death for the enemy, really. And Chenghu tries to rally, right? His son, Chongying Biao, joins him. His generals, Jin Kui, Huang Yongji.
Doesn't matter, though, does
Nope.
it?
They just can't stop the onslaught. Jin Kui gets killed pretty quickly by Zhao Bing. It shows how effective Suhu's men are. It's a desperate situation for Chenghu.
And here's where it gets even more humiliating for him. His escape.
Oh, yeah. The text is brutal.
It says he fled Fujian.
Like a stray dog or a fish that slipped the net. Absolutely zero dignity left.
And Suhu chases him relentlessly. About 20 li.
Pushing the advantage, making sure the route is complete.
Before finally calling his troops back, having secured a complete victory.
And connecting this back, a defeat like that. So total, so humiliating. It doesn't just cost lives. It can break an army's spirit for a long, long time. It's more than just losing a battle. It's a deep psychological wound. Suhu didn't just win, he crushed his opponent's will.
Right, so Chenghu barely escapes with his life. And what's his reaction? Is he reflecting? Learning?
Quite, he's filled with hatred.
Okay, so he's angry. Who's he blaming?
Well, the night attack, obviously. But he also blames the Western Marquis, Shang.
Chang. Why him?
Basically for just sitting on the sidelines, watching to see who'd win, instead of jumping in to help him.
Interesting. Is that just a leader deflecting blame, you think? Trying to find a scapegoat for his own failure?
It could be. I mean, it's pretty typical, right? Or maybe there's some genuine frustration there about alliances and politics not working out as he expected. It adds another layer to the story, doesn't it? The political maneuvering behind the battles.
It does. It shows the wider context. But just when Chenghu maybe thinks he's caught a break, gotten away.
The other shoe drops.
Exactly. The narrative hits him with a second ambush. This time, led by Suhu's son.
Su Quanzong, waiting for him at Changjinghe.
Talk about bad luck for Chenghu.
Or maybe brilliant planning by the Su family, anticipating his escape route.
Good point. And this Su Quanzong, he sounds like quite the warrior himself, even though he's young.
Oh, the description is incredible. Really detailed. Golden headdress, golden forehead band, 2 pheasant feathers sticking out.
Sounds very ornate.
Essentially, big red robe, gold chainmail, silver horse, painted halberd.
Wow.
Face like a full moon, lips like bright red paint. He's presented as this almost perfect, radiant young hero.
A real force of nature, as you said earlier. And his fighting. Does it match the look?
Absolutely. He immediately takes on Huang Wanji, then Sun Ziyu jumps in, and Su Quanzong kills Sun Ziyu almost instantly.
Wow. Swift.
And then, get this, he takes on 3 of them at once. Chenghu himself, his son Chongying Biao, and Huang Wanji again.
3-on-1. Against experienced generals.
And he holds his own, more than holds his own. The text gives specific details of his skill.
Like what?
Well, there's Hamonone. With one strike of his halberd, he just rips off half of Chenghu's leg armor.
Precise.
And then, another strike, aimed at Chongying Biao. Hits him right in the left arm, nearly knocks him off his horse.
Incredible skill. This isn't just wild swinging, it's calculated, effective fighting.
Exactly. It really makes these legendary figures feel like, well, real. You see their skill in action.
So it's another desperate escape for Chang Hu and his son.
Barely saved by their other generals pulling them out of the fight.
And Su Quanzong. Does he pursue this time?
He's tempted, but it's dark, and he decides against chasing too far into unfamiliar territory. Smart move, actually. Consolidate the win, don't overextend, shows good tactical sense, even in victory.
So what's the takeaway here? We've got the main ambush by Suhu, and then this follow-up by his son.
Well, it shows us a few things, doesn't it? We see the big strategy, the night raid, the psychology, but then we also see the critical role of individual skill. Heroics, almost. Especially from Su Quanzong.
Right. One incredibly skilled warrior can still make a massive difference, even against the odds. Valor still counts.
Definitely. It's not just about the grand plan. The individual warrior's prowess is key.
And the story wraps up with Su Quanzong reporting back to his father, Suhu.
Yeah, mission accomplished. And Suhu is, understandably, very satisfied. A complete turnaround, engineered by father and son.